Okay, so in this video, we're going to review summary statistics. We're going to review how to do mean, median, range, and then a multi-mode population standard deviation and sample standard deviation. I'm going to move these two down a little bit by highlighting those, getting the little hand and pulling them down. So here I have a set of data that is changing every time I do something because it's all random numbers. But first thing I want to do in cell A1, I want to put a name. So this is who's going to be doing this. This is Bruce Wayne. This is his data set. I have 3 columns of data. There's about 90 measurements here. And we're going to calculate the mean, median, range, and mode. What I want to do to help you save some time, rather than going in and clicking, I'm going to pick cell C2 all the way to down here to E32 every time. I am going to give this range a name. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to choose my cells here. Got them all highlighted. Then I'm going to go to data, and I'm going to go down this list until I see named ranges right here. That's going to open up this little menu on the side, and we have to give it a name. I don't like named range 1. I like to type just a little bit, so I might put in a name like set A or huff 4 or something short and easy. How about Batman? So we have named all of those data cells Batman, and you can see the definition right here. It says that's on sheet 5, and that's the 5th sheet in my spreadsheet that I'm doing these examples in. And I've selected cells C3 through E32, and it's named Batman. Okay, so now when I go up here and do this calculation, I can do equals average, and I'm going to type in the word Batman. Actually, I can wait for it to pop up and just click on it, and I get an average of that set of cells. This is probably going to be confusing because I've got random numbers being generated. It'll be interesting to see what happens as we do things. So if I want to know the median, I'm going to hit equals median. And again, I'm going to type in Batman, and that's my range, or my median, and I want to know the range equals the max of Batman, my named range, minus the min of Batman. And it keeps doing that. I want to do a multiple mode here. So mode dot mult, open the parenthesis, and I want to go look at the Batman named range. So I have 4 modes in this case. Then I want to do, so that's kind of one thing you can do to help shorten some of your typing. Most of the time I don't bother with named ranges. It can make it kind of difficult to troubleshoot if something's going wrong. Like if you add data but you don't change your range definition, that can be a little puzzling. So it's important to keep track if you do this. A lot of times I will use a color code or highlight those so I know that I'm dealing with a named range. Okay, so now I want to do a population standard deviation. If you put equals and ST, and you can see there's STDEV is your standard deviation. You also have standard deviation where it looks at text and it sees it as a 0. You can see for a population, standard deviation of an entire population, standard deviation of a sample, and this is also ignoring zeros as text is what that's doing. So we're going to focus on these two, standard deviation .p and .s. So that's the one we want. So I'm going to click on .p for standard, and we're going to give it our named range, Batman, and then we hit enter. Okay, so we have a standard deviation of this set, 122.007. And notice again, my numbers are changing every time I enter something. So if I hit equals standard deviation, and I'm going to choose .s, I'm going to do a sample standard deviation of my set called Batman, and hit enter there. And now you can see that we have a mean of 318. We have a median of 289. We have a range of 441. We have a mode. We have a bunch of modes. There's a lot of modes here. And then we have a population standard deviation of 134, and we have a sample standard deviation of 135, and that is exactly what we would expect. Our sample standard deviation should be higher than our population standard deviation. All right, that is how to use those two formulas. Remember, you can go to View and Show Formulas, and I can see all of your formulas right here. In this case, though, to make this easier for me, after you complete all of the data entry, let's see, View, Show Formulas, I'm going to have you do several sets. I'm going to have you do a practice set, and then you're going to go over a couple of columns, and then you're going to do a data set from your notebook and do exactly the same calculations on that data set, and then you'll go over a few more columns and you will do another data set from your notebook and do those same calculations with the third set. So look for your assignment in Canvas, but this is how I want you to turn in your work. Make sure your name is in cell A1. Make sure you have all of your data sets and required calculations. And then you're going to choose File. And then you're going to choose Download. And this time we're going to choose Microsoft Excel, which is an XLSX file. When that opens up to save, let me move this down a little bit. You're going to give it a name that you will recognize, like turn in this Excel file today, something, okay? And I misspelled turn, but that's going to put it in your downloads folder and you can turn it in from there. That way when I open it, with Excel, I can flip back and forth and see your formulas and make sure you're using things correctly. So that is an example of using population standard deviation and sample standard deviation in the Google Sheets app. That's all I have.